ancient kingdom of Benin, a land where magic and reality intertwined, there lived a king unlike any other. From the day of his coronation, it became evident that this young ruler possessed a gift of extraordinary magnitude, the ability to communicate with animals. His gift set him apart, a divine connection whispered to the people by the village seers. As the king strode through the palace gardens, leopards prowled silently by his side, birds fluttered onto his shoulders, and even the smallest creatures seemed to gather, eager to share their secrets. The king's unique talent brought an era of unparalleled prosperity to the kingdom of Benin. With his ability to speak with the birds of the sky, he forecasted the weather, helping farmers anticipate rains and protect their crops. The whispers of the forest creatures guided hunters to areas teeming with game while ensuring that the delicate balance of nature was preserved. The king's wisdom extended beyond the fields and forests. He mediated conflicts, built alliances, and inspired trust among his subjects. Under his reign, the kingdom flourished like never before. The people celebrated his leadership, marveling at the harmony he cultivated between humans and nature. The origins of the king's gift were shrouded in mystery, but the elders spoke of a prophecy long foretold. Before his birth, his mother, Queen Ifosa, had wandered deep into the sacred groves where the goddess of fertility and wisdom dwells. There, she encountered a shimmering golden serpent with eyes like the sun. The serpent, a messenger of the gods, whispered to her that her unborn child would be blessed with an extraordinary gift, the ability to commune with the creatures of the earth. However, this gift would come with a responsibility. He was to rule with kindness and never use his power for selfish gain. Should he betray this sacred duty, his gift would be taken away. When the king was born, a leopard prowled near the palace, a sign that the gods had bestowed him with their favor. As he grew, he discovered his ability gradually, first understanding the chirps of the birds, then the growls of the beasts, until finally, he could communicate with all living creatures. His gift was not merely one of speech but of understanding. He could sense the emotions of animals, feel their fears, joys, and instincts as if they were his own. Yet, as in every great tale, not all in the kingdom rejoiced in the king's success. Among his council of advisers was a man named Chief Agho, whose heart burned with envy and skepticism. Consumed by the belief that the king's abilities were nothing more than an elaborate charade, Agho sought to unravel the mystery and expose the ruler as a fraud. His jealousy grew unchecked until it festered into a dangerous plan. If he truly speaks with animals, Agho muttered to himself, let him prove it before the kingdom. With a cunning grin, the advisor hatched a scheme to publicly challenge the king, certain that he could force a revelation that would strip away the ruler's mystique and power. On the day of the royal council's gathering, Agho stepped forward, bowing deeply but insincerely. Your Majesty, he began, his voice oozing with feigned respect, word of your remarkable gift has reached every corner of the land. But, as with all extraordinary claims, there are those who doubt. He placed a hand on his chest, an exaggerated display of humility. Would you humor us, your loyal subjects, with a demonstration? The king, a wise and patient man, studied Agho carefully. He had sensed the advisor's bitterness for some time but had never confronted him. He saw the challenge for what it was, a trap. Yet, he also understood that refusing would only stoke the flames of suspicion. I do not perform tricks for amusement, the king replied calmly. But I shall honor your request if it eases the minds of the people. A murmur spread through the court. Agho had not expected the king to agree so readily, but he quickly regained his composure. Then let us make it interesting, he said with a sly smile. A test. One of intellect and truth. The king nodded. Very well. What do you propose? That evening, Agho set the first challenge. In the great hall, before nobles and commoners alike, he brought forth a bird cage containing a nightingale. If you speak with animals, Agho declared, then tell us what this bird whispers. The king approached the cage gently, locking eyes with the small creature inside. The nightingale fluffed its feathers, chirping softly. After a moment of silent communion, the king turned to the audience. She sings of sorrow, he said. She was taken from the wild, from her nest and kin. She longs for the open sky and the comfort of the trees. The crowd murmured, impressed by the response. Yet, Agho laughed, slow and mocking. A convenient guess. How easy it is to claim that a caged bird wishes to be free. The king, unshaken, opened the door to the cage. To everyone's astonishment, the nightingale flew not away but landed upon the king's shoulder, trilling a melody of gratitude. The people gasped. Agho clenched his fists. This was no mere trick. But he refused to be bested so easily. The next day, Agho presented another challenge. This time, he led forth a stable boy and his old, loyal horse. If the king understands animals, Agho said, then let him tell us what this horse has to say. The king stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on the steed's muzzle. The horse snorted, flicking its ears, its large dark eyes reflecting years of toil. After a moment, the king turned to the stable boy. Your horse says he loves you like a brother. He has carried you since you were a child, through sun and storm, and would carry you until his last breath. The stable boy's eyes filled with tears, and he embraced his horse. It's true, he whispered. I owe him everything. The crowd erupted into cheers. Yet Agho was undeterred. That night, the jealous advisor met with a group of conspirators, men who also feared the king's growing power. We must end this deception, Agho whispered, pacing. If the king is truly speaking with animals, then he is more powerful than any of us imagined. But if he is a fraud, we will expose him and seize control. One of the conspirators, a merchant, frowned. But how? He has passed every test. Agho smirked. We shall give him a test he cannot pass. The day of the great challenge dawned bright and filled with tension. The palace courtyard brimmed with anticipation as villagers, nobles, and courtiers gathered to witness the spectacle. Agho stood at the forefront, his smirk barely concealed, as cages filled with creatures from across the kingdom were brought forth. Lions, parrots, monkeys, and even tiny insects were displayed in an impressive array. The air buzzed with excitement and curiosity as the king stepped forward, his demeanor calm but resolute. With a quiet confidence, the king began to address the animals. He extended his hands, inviting their voices. But an unsettling silence fell over the courtyard. The animals, typically lively and responsive, were eerily quiet. The crowd's whispers grew louder. The king's expression shifted to one of concern, his repeated attempts to communicate met with no response. Agho's grin widened, and he stepped forward triumphantly. Behold, the fraud revealed, he declared. Just as despair began to shadow the king's face, a faint chopping sound caught his ear. From the ground, a small, unassuming grasshopper spoke in a voice so soft that none but the king could hear. "Your Majesty," it whispered, "the advisor has used a magical powder to silence the voices of your friends." The powder was sprinkled on their cages before the challenge began. The king's gaze sharpened as understanding dawned upon him. Straightening his posture, he raised his hand to silence the murmurs of the crowd. "My people," he began, his voice steady, "a grave injustice has been committed here today. The silence of these animals is not a failure of my gift, but the result of treachery." He turned to Agho, his eyes unwavering. "Speak, advisor. Deny this if you dare." Caught off guard, Agho stammered, but his guilt was evident. The crowd gasped, their trust in the king deepened by his revelation of truth. As the king's revelation rippled through the crowd, an elder from the village stepped forward, leaning heavily on his staff. His voice trembled but carried an air of authority. "Your Majesty," he said, "there is more to this story than you know. Your gift is not just a blessing, it is a legacy." The king listened intently as the elder recounted a forgotten tale. Centuries ago, the ancestors of the royal family had forged a bond with the animal kingdom, a pact to ensure harmony between all living beings. The ability to communicate with animals was granted to the rulers as a sign of this sacred alliance. However, the pact came with a warning: should any ruler misuse the gift or allow the bond to weaken, the kingdom would face dire consequences. This revelation weighed heavily on the king's heart. He vowed to honor the pact and ensure that the bond between humans and animals remained strong. Yet, the elder's story also hinted at something more, a secret hidden deep within the kingdom that could strengthen the bond even further. Determined to uncover the truth, the king embarked on a journey to find the hidden sanctuary mentioned in the elder's tale. Accompanied by a trusted group of advisors and a few animals who had regained their voices, the king ventured into the heart of the forest. The journey was fraught with challenges, treacherous terrain, fierce storms, and encounters with wild creatures who tested their resolve. One night, as the group rested beneath the stars, a wise old owl appeared before the king. "You seek the sanctuary," the owl hooted. "But be warned, young ruler, the path ahead is not just a test of strength, but of character." The king, intrigued, stepped forward. "Wise one, what lies ahead that requires more than strength?" The owl blinked slowly. "Betrayal, temptation, and truth." "Will you still proceed?" "I must," the king replied, determination gleaming in his eyes. The owl nodded and guided them to a mysterious grove where ancient symbols were etched into the trees. As they studied the symbols, an eerie whisper filled the air. "Only the pure of heart shall pass." Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and the symbols glowed with an ethereal light. The king and his companions braced themselves as the forest seemed to shift around them. Upon reaching the sanctuary, the king and his companions faced a series of trials designed to test their courage, wisdom, and compassion. The first trial was a vast labyrinth where the cries of distressed animals echoed all around. The king fought the urge to run towards the nearest sound, knowing the maze was designed to deceive. "We must listen carefully," the king said. "The true path will reveal itself." One of the animals, a fox named Juro, twitched his ears. The cries, they are layered. Some are illusions, others are real. By trusting his animal companions, the king navigated the labyrinth and found the true source of the cries, a young deer trapped in vines. Freeing it, the vines receded, revealing the exit of the maze. In the next trial, the king was confronted by illusions of his greatest fears, the destruction of his kingdom and the loss of his bond with the animals. Shadows of fallen warriors and flames engulfed the vision of Benin. Your weakness will doom them, a spectral voice whispered. The king clenched his fists. No, my strength lies in my people and the balance we share with the land. With sheer determination and the support of his companions, the illusion shattered, proving his unwavering commitment. Just as the king thought they had triumphed, a shadow moved among his ranks. Agho, his once loyal advisor, stepped forward, his expression unreadable. My king, he said, voice laced with an edge, what if the sanctuary's power were ours alone? Think of what we could achieve if we did not have to share it with the animals. The king's eyes darkened. You misunderstand, Agho. The sanctuary exists to preserve harmony, not dominion. Agho's lips curled. Then you are a fool. Before anyone could react, he lunged at the king. But the animals, sensing the betrayer, sprang into action. Juro the fox tripped Agho, while a hawk dove, snatching the dagger from his grasp. The king sighed. Agho, you allowed greed to poison your heart. I hoped you would see reason. 2 guards restrained the treacherous advisor. The king turned away, sorrow in his gaze. We move forward. At the heart of the sanctuary, the king encountered a majestic lion with a golden mane that shimmered like the sun. The lion, the guardian of the pact, spoke with a voice that resonated through the grove. Young king, it said, you have proven yourself worthy. The bond between humans and animals is sacred, and you have shown the wisdom and compassion needed to uphold it. The lion revealed a hidden artifact, an ancient staff adorned with carvings of animals and nature. This staff is a symbol of the pact, the lion explained. With it, you can strengthen the connection between your kingdom and the animal world. But remember, its power must only be used for the greater good. The king accepted the staff, feeling its warmth flow through him. With the sanctuary's blessing, the king returned to Benin, his bond with the animals stronger than ever. He used the staff's power to create sanctuaries where animals and humans could coexist peacefully. Agho, seeing the king's unyielding commitment to harmony, repented. I was blinded by ambition, my king. Let me spend my life protecting what I sought to destroy. The king studied him for a long moment before nodding. Redemption is earned through action, Agho. Under the king's leadership, the kingdom of Benin thrived in ways that surpassed all expectations. The sanctuaries became places of learning and wonder, where people from all walks of life came to understand the importance of balance and coexistence. The king's gift, once a source of envy and doubt, became a beacon of hope and unity. The tale of the king who could speak to animals became a cherished story, passed from generation to generation. It reminded the people of Benin that kindness, wisdom, and humility are the greatest gifts a leader can possess. The king's legacy endured not only in the prosperity of his kingdom but in the hearts of his people, who learned to value harmony and understanding above all else. Moral of the story. The story of the king who could speak to animals teaches us that true leadership lies in the wisdom to use one's gift for the greater good. It highlights the importance of forgiveness, showing that mercy can transform even the most envious hearts. Beyond mere abilities, leadership requires patience, vision, and a commitment to justice. The king demonstrated that wisdom is not in flaunting one's strengths but in using them to serve others. In sparing his advisor and choosing a path of compassion, he illustrated that kindness can mend even the deepest wounds and turn rivals into allies. His decision to forgive rather than punish reminds us that healing and growth arise when we choose understanding over vengeance. Additionally, the tale emphasizes the significance of harmony and unity. The king's relationship with the animals symbolizes the interconnectedness of all living beings. Prosperity is only sustainable when individuals work together, respecting the balance of nature and the needs of one another. True strength is found not in isolation, but in fostering cooperation and trust. Thank you for watching. Support our channel by liking, commenting your thoughts on this video, subscribing and turning on post notifications.